Before we go any further in this journey, I want to say something that many people in nonprofit and community work aren't really told clearly. Your lived experience matters, not as a footnote, but actually as something that can inform, shape, and strengthen the work you're being called to build. Welcome to session 3 of From Vision to Fundable. I'm Dee Lax. So let's jump right into this topic, why your lived experience matters. This session is especially important because how you view your own story will affect how you build, lead, and serve. If you see your experience as a weakness, you might just lead defensively. But if you see it as an asset, you'll lead with clarity and confidence. So, first, we're going to talk about why lived experience is often misunderstood. Many people have been taught directly or indirectly that credibility only comes from credentials, degrees, titles, positions, platforms, and while those things have value, they are not the only form of preparation. In community based work, proximity matters. People who have lived near the problem emotionally, socially, economically, or spiritually often understand nuances that data alone cannot even capture. So I want to give you a personal story. I attended an event at a corporation, and this event was about how corporations and nonprofits can use data to provide or help communities. So there was a panel discussion being led by a group of people who had experience in collecting data for low income or under resourced communities. Okay. None of the people on the panel were from those communities that they were talking about. One in particular had a doctoral degree. I believe everyone else on the panel had master's degrees. The community needed a grocery store because they're located in a food desert. A food desert is a place where there are not very many grocery stores in that particular area, not a lot of healthy food opportunities in that particular area. It's a very under resourced community, okay? There's actually a more formal definition for a food desert, and I'll provide that. Okay, well, this group that was on the stage, they talked about how they went into the community, collected all this data, and they discovered that what the community was saying about needing a grocery store wasn't necessarily true. What the community needed was a facility where they could be taught how to prepare foods healthy in a healthy way, and where they could have fitness and exercise, and where basically they just came to the conclusion they didn't need a grocery store, even though this community said they did. So the they built this facility where there was it was a medical facility, it was a workout facility, and they also provided, I guess, healthy options where you can learn how to cook meals in a healthy way or get whatever you need, and as it related to health. They may have even given like food out for free, but still there was no grocery store. Okay. I asked, I stood up and asked, what qualifies you to be able to speak for this community on this community's behalf? Because I actually work in that community and have lived near this community, and they need a grocery store. We need a grocery store over here. Well, the person leading the panel, who had the doctoral degree, said, well, that's something that I talk to my graduate students often, because I guess he also was a professor. I talk to my graduate students often about how they should go and get their doctoral degrees so that they could be in a position to be able to provide the information that is needed to help these communities. Okay, he was the only one with a doctoral degree on the panel, right? Nobody from the community was on the panel to discuss their needs, but these people who were not in close proximity to the issues were all on the stage representing people in the community who had a need. This event happened in the middle of the day. It was far out, far out from public transportation. Like, I mean, where if you needed to take public transportation, you you may not be able to get to this event during the middle of the day so easily, especially if you had to work. Anyway, I say all that to say your lived experience matters. You can go and get the education. That would be awesome. But you still have something to bring to the table. Do not allow anyone with just credentials to tell you that what you have to offer in building your community-based work does not matter, because you know better than anyone else what your community needs when you are in your community. Okay, y'all? That just got me kind of riled up. Let me get off my soapbox, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Your lived experience matters. So now we're going to talk about experience versus expertise and the balance. I'm going to be honest, this topic kind of gets me worked up a little bit because I often see communities being taken advantage of because you have so many experts and not enough experience in the room. Here's an important distinction. Lived experience does not mean you know everything, okay? And it does not mean you don't need to learn. It means you have insight. Insight helps you ask better questions, design programs that actually fit real lives, and avoid assumptions that harm people you're trying to serve. The goal is not to lead only from experience, okay? Or only from education. The goal is integration. Experience gives you perspective. Learning gives you structure. Together, they build trust. Scripture speaks to this beautifully in 2 Corinthians 1:4. He comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. Notice the order. Comfort received becomes comfort shared. Experience is not wasted when it is stewarded wisely. Here's something many people don't realize. Funders increasingly value leaders who are close to the work. They want to know why you care about this issue, how you understand the community, what perspective you bring that isn't generic. Lived experience, when articulated clearly and humbly, signals authenticity, not bias. It tells funders and partners that the work is informed by authenticity and reality, not assumption. Throughout the years, I've worked with many organizations who had strong intentions, but sometimes they struggled with execution. Programs were designed far away from the people they served. Solutions looked good on paper, but didn't work in practice. And sometimes they could be right in the heart of the community, but not really of the community. And when I say of the community, not really clearly communicating the needs of the community, because there is not a lot of communication going on with the community. And I've also seen the opposite. Leaders who understood the problem deeply because they had lived near it, often building more responsive, realistic programs. Not because they were perfect, but because they listened well. So there is a risk to discounting your lived experience. When you discount your lived experience or don't let people know about your lived experience, one of two things tends to happen. Either you overcompensate by trying to sound like someone else, or you stay silent when your insight is really, really needed. Both can limit your impact. Your story doesn't have to be dramatic to be valuable. It just needs to be honest. In Romans 12:6, we're reminded we have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. Different gifts, different paths, different preparation. There is room for your story in the work you're building. This is important. Your experience should inform your work, not overshadow it. Ask yourself, how does my story help me understand the problem? Where does it help me listen better? Where do I still need outside perspective? Healthy leadership uses experience as a lens, not as a spotlight. Okay, as you think about this session, you may want to write down the following information because it will help you with determining how your experience helps to build your organization. What is the specific community problem or unmet need that keeps showing up in my heart, my experience, or my environment? What experience in my life helped me recognize that this problem exists? What insight has that experience given me about why this issue matters or persists? And what question about this issue do I still need to learn more about before trying to solve it? Now let's pause for a moment. I want you to ask yourself this question. What have I lived through, witnessed, or navigated that gives me insight into the problem I care about? Asking yourself those questions will help experience become preparation. You don't need to erase your story to build something credible. You need to understand it, honor it, and steward it well. Your experience does not disqualify you at all. It informs you. In session 4 of From Vision to Fundable, we're going to talk about why a servant-minded heart needs structure and how boundaries and systems are not a lack of compassion, but an act of stewardship. If this session helped you, save it and return to it as needed. This journey isn't about rushing, it's about building wisely. Your opportunity awaits you, and understanding your story is part of stepping into it. Until next time, peace, and let God be your guide.